Hey everyone, Snipey47A here with a review of the newly released promo pack ship entitled the Amarie or Amarie-Class Smuggler's Heavy Escort Tier 6 ship. You may recall that this ship made a very brief appearance in the Next Generation episode called Unification Part 1 before being destroyed by the Enterprise D. Let's be nostalgic.
Sensors indicate a combat vessel, origin undetermined, heavily armed. Fire. It's gonna blow.
Amazing that was nearly 25 years ago. Okay, so this ship is being offered in Star Trek Online via a prize drop from the research and development packs, which launched on sale discounted from 1000 Zen down to 800 Zen for a 4-pack. The ship released in the game is an exact replica of the ship featured in the show and has been classed as a heavy escort. This means that it has a higher hull HP than the typical Escort, yet retaining most of Escort's maneuverability and to a lesser extent its speed. In the show, this ship was a smuggler ship, so it had to be tough and agile, but also carry cargo, and I believe that's what's represented here and reflected. So here are the key headline features. It's a 5-2 weapons layout with a heavy weapon port. It's got a shield modifier of 1.25, which is high for an Escort class ship, which typically has 1 or below. It's got intel and pilot specialization seating. It's got an impulse modifier of a 0.2, which again is not as fast as a proper Escort, but far ahead of your average cruiser. It's got power boost to 3 subsystems, weapons, shields and engines. In the base stats of the ship, there is a misprint on the box description where it says it's giving power to weapons twice, and it's got a standard cloaking device. There is no mistaking the visual design of this ship is to intimidate any potential foes, but apart from the looks, it has some pretty interesting features that in the right hands can potentially be a formidable piece of kit. More on that shortly. I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to see more of this type of ship ever since I saw it in the show, and being able to look at one closely now is actually pretty cool. I like the armor-plated fins protecting key ship components. It even features a dorsal mounted turret or cannon as per the ship from the show. The attention to detail doesn't stop there. Wait until you see the inside of this thing. There is no other way of putting it. It is freaking huge. I wish more Lobby and lockbox ships, as well as Romulan ships, had interiors like this. The interior continues the theme portrayed by the outside of the ship. There are various NPC contacts all over the ship, including a Ferengi trader and quartermaster vendor. There is even a console to access your bank, mail and trading exchange. Leaving the bridge, the first room we encounter is the medical bay and sciences room, containing a scientist and doctor NPC. There's a mess hall with an NPC in there as well, and you can also visit the engine room. But that is not the biggest and most impressive area of the ship. That area is the cargo area. Multiple access points along the corridor take you to a balcony area overseeing the cargo hold, but if you continue down the corridor all the way, you can enter the cargo area itself, where it contains NPCs that I mentioned earlier. So it's quite a different ship then, and it's certainly ticking all the boxes so far. So let's delve a bit deeper and check out the bridge officer stations. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, This is, don't consider this a build suggestion. This is just what I threw together to get the mastery for the ship pretty quickly for this video. The layout will allow for a wide variety of combinations in build and character specification. It comes with a straight Commander Tactical, which is awesome that it doesn't share it with a with a specialization. There is also a Lieutenant Commander Universal with Intel specialization. Now, being universal, you could tip the balance of the build into any of the three career directions. However, for balance, I believe most will run a combination of intel and engineering abilities here, due to the fact there is only another ensign engineering station. The Lieutenant Tactical has pilot specialization, and while many pilot abilities aren't really that useful, it could allow you to play around with abilities like Hold Together, which is an awesome healing ability when the ship is moving, thus allowing you to utilize the Cya stations for exotic damage abilities, because it's a Lieutenant Commander Cya. Or if you unspec for exotic, you can use like a Cya for healing and control, or healing and drain. Or you can just keep it as a lieutenant tack for tack abilities, and it's the combinations are just there's lots of them. Like I said, it will require some thought when you throw this build together, and you'll probably play around with a few different builds. Now, the console layout is obviously tack heavy with 5 tack consoles, then followed by 4 science console slots. I believe this was done due to the tanky nature of this ship in terms of specification and potential in the boss seating. So only having 2 engineering consoles will give some players pause on how to proceed with a build that suits their traditional cruiser and or escort playstyle, and their ship layouts that accompany that. Again, the consoles and stuff I've got slotted here is not a build suggestion, it's just what I threw together to get mastery. So far, there isn't anything not to like about this ship, although I'm afraid to say there is a but. Now, the heavy weapon is called the Slam Shot Magnetic Artillery. It delivers kinetic damage with a 20% shield penetration. I don't know if your skill tree adds to that. I would expect that it does, but further testing needs to be required. It uses 10 weapons power to fire, and it doesn't have a chance proc. The proc is 100% guaranteed to apply should the weapons hit the target. And the target will receive a debuff to kinetic resist by 10 for 20 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Now, the firing cycle on this weapon is 5 seconds, so sustained hits from this weapon will maintain this debuff at max stacks, but that is going to be difficult. This weapon has an inbuilt -40 accuracy penalty. And on my build, it was producing max 1 hits of 40k on NPCs, and my various accuracy across the normal and advanced Argalas that I did was about 60 to 70%. Now, my base accuracy stat is on the build as it was is 47%, and I was running Intel Primary, which does add more accuracy over time. So also, it doesn't appear to be impacting any other weapons, which is a good thing in terms of accuracy. What I'm not sure of is how this weapon will perform in PvP. -40 accuracy pretty much wipes out the passive accuracy stat of most attack-focused ships. Accuracy buffs will recover some of this, but it will be difficult to score consistent hits on high defense escort builds or high defense builds in general. Cruisers and science ships with lower defense ratings will be hit more often. I'm not encouraged by the hit rate on advanced Argala NPCs of only 70% though. How does that translate into PvP in terms of hits? Now, from a PvP point of view, I did tests in Argala with both this weapon and the much loved railgun, and to my surprise, the railgun wasn't as far in front DPS wise as I thought it would be, and it was only 20% more based on the limited runs that I've done. But in PvP, I still think the railgun will be much better. Will be a much better weapon due to having no accuracy penalty. So that's a little bit disappointing as far as the heavy weapon is concerned. Now, the supplementary weaponry controller is the universal console that comes with this ship. Passively, it gives 20% critical severity to projectile weapons and plus 50 to your tactical readiness stat. The actual attack itself is almost like a broadside attack, but on both sides to random foes in your forward 180-degree targeting arc. It shoots 2 shots per second, alternating left to right over 5 seconds, so a total of 10 shots. It deals kinetic damage, therefore mostly absorbed by any shield facings that aren't depleted, but it will deal 400% damage to your foe's shields directly. It also has a 10% chance to take those shields offline for a period of time. The kinetic damage is buffed by your all weapon damage skill in your skill tree, and the duration of the shields offline is determined by your Drain X stat. The thing that lets this console down, in my opinion, is the random targeting. If there are many targets to choose, especially if there are many targets to choose from, dealing such large damage to shields and then not being able to follow it up with another strike is an issue, and you'd have to pay close attention of which target was getting hit if you want to try and follow it up with your slam shot heavy weapon. And finally, the Starship Trait. It's called Reverberation, and it is a projectile initiated shield attack or depleter. Your projectile attacks have a 10% chance per stack to apply reverberation to your foe, and it can stack up to 10 times. Reverberation, if applied, will take your shields offline, your target shields offline for 6 seconds, and the duration of this is scaled with your Drain X skill. Once reverberation has been applied, all remaining stacks are removed and no more stacks can be applied for 10 seconds. So we have a console and a ship trait that are designed to bring down shields. However, in PvP and particularly in PvE and particularly in PvP, shields are less important today than they used to be. And hull tanking by all classes of ships is the preferred method. So I'm not sure how enticing these features will be. I've decided to start rating the ships I do reviews on the various aspects of what we find important in a ship, and this baby is going to be the first cab off the rank. So the criteria will be exterior styling, interior functionality, base ship stats and bridge officer layout, the heavy weapon if applicable, the console, the Starship Trait, and then an overall score based on those other scores. So for exterior styling, and I know this is subjective, but I really like this ship. I've always liked the look of this ship, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Interior functionality, it's a 5 out of 5, sure, it's an awesome interior. It is a fantastic interior. The ship stats and buff layout is a 4 out of 5, mainly, due to the many options and combinations that are possible, all working off a solid foundation of whole HP, weapon layout, power level boost that's passive in the ship, and a good shield modifier. The heavy weapon at this stage is a 2 out of 5 from me. I have my doubts about it in PvE and more so in PvP. The console, it's 1 out of 5. This may seem harsh, but having all attacks going to random targets makes this console, in my opinion, next to useless. And finally, the Starship Trait, I give it 2.5 out of 5. With only select builds like Torp side drainer builds, potentially seeing something from this trait, maybe. But what would they drop for something that only gives a 10% chance though? I do have a concern how this sort of trait is going to interact with the totally unbalanced quantum phase set, but I say this without any data or evidence, it's more of a gut feel. So overall, I'm giving this ship a 3 out of 5 due to the potential high cost of getting one of these ships in the first place, and therefore having that expectation that all the elements should be outstanding, and they nearly all were. After all, this type of prize ship is considered the apex of prize ships. The console, trait, and to a lesser extent the heavy weapon really let this ship down when considered in that context. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. See you around.